ザビ家の血統を信じるか、オーギュスト。
血統、血のつながりですか。
ハマーンはなぜ私のような青二歳を甘やかしていたのか考えたことがあるか。
グレミ様、
どうする？
Well, hey, Gundam Maniacs, welcome to another episode of Gundam Explained. For this episode, we're going to talk about Glemmy Toto and to see if he could possibly be related to the Zabis in some way. He's a Char clone of Double Zeta, kind of just showed up as a baddie with not too much background for him until a certain quote that shows up in the episode. But before we get started, if you haven't, please subscribe. And if you think this is a cool video, give it a like. Also, check the links in the description. There's ways to support the channel if you're into that, but also our Discord, which is a lot of fun. We talk lore, video games, Gundam stuff. But yeah, let's get started. All right, so Glemmy, again, seems like some sort of main baddie that appears out of nowhere in the middle of Double Zeta. It's like, where's Char? Well, behind the scenes, apparently, as they were making Double Zeta, Char's counterattack got greenlit. So I guess Tomino decided to focus Char's story there. Kind of one of the things that worked against Double Zeta, but honestly, this little bit of lore makes it a bit interesting. He's got the blonde hair. He seems to be loyal to the Zabis, working under Haman. All right, so he was born July 6, 0071. So, you know, this is some time before the 1 year war. So it's kind of something I want to keep in mind here. Although he was only 17 years old, Glemmy was highly valued by Haman due to his status as a member of the Zabi family. So even Haman kind of had an understanding that he was somehow related to them. Despite being from minor Zeon nobility, he has blood ties with the Zabi family. Some theorize a connection between Glemmy Toto and the Zabi family, primarily Garen Zabi, whom it is speculated that Glemmy Toto was either his illegitimate son or a literal clone. In the Arc Performance manga, The Plot to Assassinate Garen, the topic was brought up in an exchange between high-ranking Zeon officers. Notes from the series staff compiled in Animedia's Gundam Double Zeta Part 2 book shed further light upon the situation. Glemmy is not a clone, but rather a test tube baby resulting from the insemination of a Newtype woman's egg with Garen Zabi's sperm. The same source indicates that due to the circumstances of Puru and Puru 2's births, this essentially makes them half-siblings. So not only test tube baby from Garen and a Newtype woman, but also the same was done for Puru and Puru 2, meaning they're related. So we're seeing some potential Zabi bloodline there that continues. And I think strengthens, you know, the motivations, I guess, of Glemmy in Double Zeta. So what's interesting is it looks like the idea of a new type started more as a philosophy, but it seems to actually be something that turned into a human that happens to have, you know, abilities that allow them to do more with their brainwaves, interact, feel others, control things. But it seemed like it was more around the 1 year war that people really understood what new types were and how to use them for war. So it's interesting when we saw when Glemmy would have been born, what was that, 71, 0071, with a new type mother. Does that mean that, I guess, new types, maybe through Zeon, and this could be something I just couldn't find information on, they have been manipulating new types or known about them for some time? Because it really doesn't seem yet until the 1 year war where they really understand there's new types, start taking advantage of people with these abilities, and then creating things like cyber new types. But if you think about when Glemmy was born in 71, and I think Puru, it was 77, this is before the 1 year war. So is it that Garen had already understood the concept of a new type and they were already planning for this? So, you know, interesting, just real quick, I always found it interesting, that word, Lpo Puru, or how you would pronounce it. A lot of it has to do with the Japanese pronunciations of things versus English. But when they were talking about the name, to use the name Lpo Puru, which is really weird and hard to say for someone like me, you know, they brought up, I guess this is the team when they're coming up with names, already have a character named L and Ru. So what's interesting is the name Lpo Puru sounds like L and Ru. Like, that kind of helps understand where pronunciations come from, because I tell you, as much as I like Gundam, I am reading the names more than I'm hearing them, and so I tend to just be used to what my mind is putting together. But Glemmy and Puru are siblings. The relationship between El Peo Puru and Puru 2 was not made clear on screen, but fans are still curious about it. So we will tell you all about the secrets of the origins of Puru, Puru 2, and Glemmy for good measure. It may have been unclear on screen, but the setting notes had already been fleshed out. First, let's talk about Glemmy. He was born inside a test tube by artificially fertilizing the egg of a woman with Newtype qualities with Garen and Zabi's, who appeared in previous works, sperm. Both Purus were also artificially created in the same manner from Garen Zabi and a Newtype woman, so they are Glemmy's sisters in a sense. However, the egg used to make them were from a different woman than Glemmy's, and they are artificially created identical twins with the exact same genetics, DNA. This is why Puru and Puru 2 look identical. Puru 2's personality was changed via imprinting after she was born. So again, it's very interesting to me, the timeline of when they were born versus understanding Newtypes. It could have been, it just happened to be the woman was a Newtype, and now that gave Garen or the Zabis or whoever is in charge the idea to take advantage of that for the war. To add to that, the Newtype cores, which Glemmy was saving until the final battle, are also test tube babies like Glemmy and Puru. Glemmy felt that cyber Newtypes used by Haman were too unstable and had limited Newtype abilities. So he created an army of test tube babies instead of using cyber Newtypes. What a ruthless person, though, to use his brethren as soldiers. Okay, so instead of using cyber Newtypes, so I guess as a test tube Puru, just then a cyber Newtype anyway? I mean, is a cyber Newtype someone where you're forcing abilities on them or you're genetically altering them to have abilities? So things are still a little unclear in terms of intention with Newtypes, cyber Newtypes within the Zabi family of their clones. Was Garen really trying to clone a Newtype version of himself? Was Garen already a Newtype? Perhaps. And having Glemmy was just a way for him to carry on his portion of the bloodline, and then that makes Marita Cruz potentially an heir, maybe more than Minerva is. I think that's very interesting. And so this, again, from another magazine, and I'm not too sure where, but it's showing like the bloodline. So from Degwin and Nalis Zabi, I guess their kids are Dozel and Garma, who had, from Dozel, Minerva. But then Degwin also was with someone that's apparently unknown. So Garen, Sasro, Cassilia. Sasro, I guess we saw in Origin. So Garen, they're showing from Garen is, Glemmy and Puru series, but unknown. This is just showing one unknown led to them, but it could be representative of both Glemmy and Puru coming from whoever. I still, though, don't understand exactly, if someone out there does know, were maybe Newtypes known more than just a philosophy and humans with abilities before the 1 Year War, to the point where Garen was already creating a future-proofing himself some weapons for his bloodline by having clones that have Newtype abilities, but they're supposedly not cyber Newtypes because they're test tubes. And they're not cloned, actually, because they're test tube, Glemmy and Puru. So I'm very interested in that, if anyone has any information on that. And that part about Glemmy and Puru are siblings, that's from Animedia's Gundam Double Zeta Part 2, translated on Zionic Scans. I'll have this link in the description. Okay, so to bring it all back, we get to Double Zeta, which, out of universe, they had to change up the story for Char's counterattack. But in universe, I think it is cool that we have this additional enemy, Char clone, if you will, but that is really part of the bloodline of the Zabi family in some way. We had, Minerva in Double Zeta, but also there's, the idea that was actually just a double. So that would be very interesting to find out if that's true. But yeah, Garen's bloodline running things moving forward. What does that mean for the future of UC? Maybe some stories that haven't been told, or a potential for some other ideas with the bloodline going forward. Because I like the idea that Marita Cruz could technically, be an heir to the Zabi family as well. Another little splinter faction of Zeon to try to Garen Zeon, trying to take control. Well, anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think. If you have any additional lore for Glemmy in terms of his place with the Zabi family or not. I thought this was very interesting stuff, and it kind of further strengthens Double Zeta, because I'm really a fan of that series, even though a lot of people don't seem to be, but I think that's changing. I do. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. We'll talk later.